We've been speaking in the recent, 2 months or so about coalition governments in the country. The DA earlier making a call for a more streamlined approach, if you will, at a governance level in terms of managing coalitions in the country. But something else that's playing out on the sidelines is a battle between the DA federal leader, Hellen Zille, and the Joburg Council Speaker, Colleen Makhubele, after the Cope councillor allegedly said that Zille is trying to access the Metro's 70 billion rand budget and run it from Cape Town. Well, Zille says that she will sue the Speaker for defamation. Let's speak now to the Joburg Council Speaker, Colleen Makhubele, who's with me in studio. A very good evening to you, Speaker. Welcome to the program. So what is your problem with Hellen Zille?
Good evening, Tembekile, and good evening to the listeners. That's a very good question. You know, Hellen Zille needs to stay away from the city of Johannesburg. She needs to understand her boundaries. That the city of Johannesburg has a council that runs the council business, including the budget of council, including the appointments of whether it's a city manager, appointment of speakers, appointments of mayors, etc. And when the council has spoken, people need to respect that. When you go beyond that, you are being unlawful, unconstitutional, and you are really interfering with the function of councillors. You know, when I heard that she's suing me, I was reminded of a story when Jesus was told about Herod. And he said, go ye and tell that fox that I'm going about tomorrow doing my business until the third day. And I want to send this message that I'm going about doing council business. I'm going to be having council business tomorrow. We're having council meeting. We're having council meeting next week after the court date with Palazzo. We're going to have programming committee. Can we please have space as the city of Johannesburg to work? It doesn't necessarily mean that when your mayor is ousted, every council meeting that we call must be met by a court action from the DA. And that's what we are starting to expect now.
So that's good and well, right? So Hellen Zille is not saying you shouldn't do your work. She's saying what she's found objectionable is you accusing her of basically trying to lay her hands on the city's budget, which suggests something more sinister. Would you agree that perhaps that's a comment that you should not have made, that you should have just said to her, stay out of council business, without suggesting that she wanted to put her hands on the budget?
You know, the sad part about Hellen Zille is that she's aged right now. Nothing really to show of a career in politics except being opposition, chasing after the shadow of ANC. And I think the City of Joburg coalition presented some sort of validation and justification of a career, trying to make some sort of a comeback, you know, wanting to govern. And I will not hesitate to say it again. People need to stay away from the city of Johannesburg. And Hellen Zille represents nothing but the minority interest, the supremacy, the domination, and the control that we don't want in the city of Johannesburg. We don't want people to be turned into voting cows in the city of Johannesburg. Whatever comments that she thinks I have made, what she needs to be doing is stop being a resounding gong in the media making noise. Let her send me the papers. And there is such a thing in law that you go into a discovery phase where we'll compel her to give us all the information and the WhatsApp messages and whatever it is that she thinks that I have said. And if she is beyond reproach in what she has said regarding me, let the courts decide and let the judges decide. But we're not going to be intimidated by some defamation case and whatever I have said or she thinks I have said about her. I think she's struggling to find her place in history. You know, when you look at her, you weigh her against really women of note, women that have been mothers of nation. You look at Bob Mama, Winnie Mandela, Helen Suzman, Helen Joseph, Ruth First. I don't know where you place Hellen Zille in that history because she stands for really nothing that has to do with the people and human rights and humanity, development and advancement.
Let's go back to the comments you made in this article. I think it was in The Citizen. And I want to pull up a quote for you from Hellen Zille, who says here, Colleen Makhubele said, among other things, that my real aim was to get my hands on Johannesburg's 70 billion rand budget. That is also a bit too far from me. What exactly did you mean by that? And did you actually say that in the interview?
What I want to say to you is that it's Hellen Zille and the DA that have been continually saying the ANC wants nothing but 70 billion rand of the city of Johannesburg. That has been their statement.
But now I'm asking you about your comments because you're the one facing
She must prove what I have said.
What did you say?
She must prove. I have said so many things, so she must prove what I have said. I have said she's a bully, she's controlling, and I've said she must stay away from the city of Joburg. I'm not going to be doing her case for her.
So you called her an arrogant bull. That you said.
That I have said. And it's true, because she is being an arrogant bull that is trying to bully her way into the city of Joburg, now using Popalate and unashamedly trying to create court cases and chaos in the city of Johannesburg. So whatever she thinks I have said, let her formulate her own case and bring it. I'm not going to be helping her on that matter.
Did you not make the comment about her trying to get her hands on the city's budget? Did you say that specifically? Because that appears to be what's offended her the most.
I'm saying to her, if I have said it, let her put it in the court papers, and then we'll deal with it.
When it does go to court, would you, once you've got the papers, would you consider an apology, a retraction at all?
I don't see why I should be apologizing to her at this stage, because she has not proven to me what it is that I have said. I mean, going to the newspapers and going to the media, making noise, Colleen Makhubele, it doesn't really prove anything. If you're convicted about that you have a case, stop making noise in the media. Put it in the court papers, and then we can respond to it. We'll all discover what she has said about Colleen Makhubele as well. Because courts are going to have to prove beyond reproach that she indeed is innocent of saying anything against Colleen Makhubele. She's the victim and she has been wronged, etc. So let her put it there and we'll deal with it. At this stage, I cannot even comment on it because there's just nothing but really empty vessels making noise in the media. That's what's happening.
Would you have been able, Speaker, to work with the DA still, do you think, in coalition, had Hellen Zille not been in the picture?
Look, the DA represents something that they need to shed as a party. And, of course, the driving force behind it is Hellen Zille, being the leader of the DA.
But you worked with them and she was leader already towards the end of last year when the initial DA-led coalition was put together.
So this is what I'm saying. The DA needs to shed something of themselves that makes them not be able to work with any other party. Yes, we worked with them in difficult conditions, and hence we pulled out. You know, we've been trying to fix it, the arrogance. It was not the first time it was raised since the beginning of the coalition. It was frictions, it was fights, it was arrogance, it was fight for positions, domination, telling people how to vote. So those are the things that they have to shed and understand that they did not win elections. And understand that if it's a coalition, it must be balanced. People must feel like partners. They must be valued, but not used. The same way now she's using party leaders to win cheap votes, to get what she wants. And she has failed at that. She's bitter. She's sad. I understand what she's going through. Instead of sitting down to really think about it, reflect and heal, including Dr. Palate, they are just going all over the place. They are hurt, they are sad. Whatever they thought they had going has been pulled out under their carpet by a black girl. And that's what she can't comprehend. Hence, she's going all over the media saying, I've defamed a character. Which character did I defame? There has to be a character to defame in the first place.
Would you ever work with the DA again as COPE?
You know, politics, there's no permanent enemies, there's no permanent friends.
So you could still make up?
We could still make up. Who knows what will happen in the future? Who knows? EFF had said they'll never work with the ANC. Here they are. Even her herself, she had said she'll never work with the ANC, but they keep making statements they will work with the ANC. Because it's a matter of dynamics that change and things that you can't predict that change. So if we are fighting now, let's fight, let's part, it's okay. Tomorrow we may find another way to coexist. And if there are repentance, changing, people self-reflecting, really coming to discover where we went wrong, then there is room to work. But if you're arrogant, you keep blaming everybody else, you're a victim of this and that, you're never in the wrong, you're the only one in the right, then unfortunately DA is going down, and the sooner they realize that themselves, as much as they say ANC is going down, DA has really taken a huge dent out of this, and I don't think it will govern again, especially in Gauteng, even national. I don't see them governing in any way with that attitude.
So when you all came together, you were all very critical of the ANC. Now there's an ANC mayor in Johannesburg, Dada Morero. You're quite pleased with his election in council. He's gone out, he says he's going to do the very basic things, right? Clean up the city, fix the finances and the agencies, right? But the ANC has been on an electoral decline in Johannesburg, which is why in 2 successive elections it's failed to get an outright majority. What are your non-negotiables in this deal with the ANC?
Look, first it was the consultative approach. That was a non-negotiable, and which we did. was really to share power and balance everything with the minorities, and we've been given that space within this coalition, is to really listen to the one-seater parties, because that 0.003 that DA used to call us, that didn't matter. It represents your uncle somewhere in Diepsloot, your friend somewhere in Ivory Park. It represents a youth somewhere in Orange Farm who doesn't have a job. So for us, it's very important that every person in the city of Johannesburg is represented in that coalition, given a voice and given attention. And you talk about the ANC on a decline. Yes, they're on a decline, but truth be told, they are still the majority in council. You know, if anyone needs to be arrogant...
But they're not a different party. Does a new mayor mean that they're a different party from the one so many of you distrusted just, a year ago?
It's not a different party, but let me tell you, the same way that we trusted the DA, we don't trust them anymore.
Do you trust the ANC fully?
It's not about trust. It's about cooperation. It's about willingness to work together.
How do you work with someone you don't trust?
You can. You don't have to be in a trust relationship in politics to work together. You just have to have the boundaries that you don't cross, the mutual respect. You have to have the lines that you understand you will not cross. This is not a marriage that I must be able to trust you. DA didn't trust any of us, and they will say so. We were in a relationship that nobody trusted one another. We were constantly in each other's throat. But we cooperated as far as we could, but we couldn't stand the abuse any longer, and we decided to pull out. And that's what it is. And the ANC right now has been, thus far, the signs are showing us that they have stuck to their word. They are treating us the way that we have asked to be treated.
Still honeymoon phase, so you use the marriage analogy, so it's still the honeymoon phase. So if they change, will you divorce them as well?
We will not hesitate to do so. And the ANC has run a successful GLU, by the way, before this, and they finished their term. DA was in a coalition in 2016, and the same thing happened, and they couldn't even finish their term. You know, they were taken out of power, they voted, they had the votes of no confidence, etc. So you can see their pattern of really this entitlement and control and bullying, that they are not changing. And that's why I keep saying they have a fundamental problem and characteristics that if they don't change, the electorate is watching. And of course, it's honeymoon phase with the ANC. If they continue the same way that we have started, I believe that we should be able to finish 2026.
Johannesburg Council Speaker Colleen Makhubele, good to have your time, and thank you.
Thank you, Tembekile.